Hey, how's it going? And today I just wanted to do an update to the Hello World program. This is essentially your first program that you write or try to create when you're new to Verse. And the reason I'm doing this is because they've updated the interface a little. I thought, gosh, it's been a year that Verse has been out, and I thought maybe it'd be good to do an update. I'm assuming you've got UEFN loaded and you're ready to go. So you just come into Island Templates, and there is a project specifically for Hello World, but we're just going to go into a blank template here. And these are just island templates already built for you. Just choose a blank one and we'll just go create. And this is super simple just to show you how to get started with the verse and kind of how it works, real basic. So here we are in a blank island template. One of the icons that they've changed is up here. And you see where it says open a session in order to play the game. It didn't used to be an icon. I swear that it was written out like launch game or something, but they don't have any text up here anymore. It's just this icon. I don't know if that's a cell phone or whatever it is. If we look in our game, it's not like Unreal Engine where you can just hit play and go into the game. You're on a client and it's a server, and so you've got to log in for anything to happen. So let's say you're interested in getting started with Verse. What you can do is just come over here to where it says Verse Explorer. And if you don't see it, you can come up here and make sure this box is checked. So you just come up here to where it says Verse Explorer. You click on the name of your title right there. And then you right click and you go add new verse file to project. And you simply click it. Now it's going to come in with some boilerplate code already in there, and that's fine. And it has a default name, and you can leave it called Hello World Device, and you simply go create. Now when this is created, it's going to do a couple things. It's going to create what's called a verse device for you, and this is going to give your code almost like a physical representation in the game. So if we click this file and drag it into the game, it's like a console computer. It is basically inheriting from what's called a creative device class, and it's giving your code this physical representation in the game. This isn't always the case. If you just create a pure verse class, you won't necessarily see anything in the game. So now if we just double click into this, it's going to open Visual Studio and it's going to take us right into our verse code. And there's not much here, but I'll just kind of briefly explain what these are. So these are modules that are imported. This is pretty common in Python or C++. You have these files that are imported, libraries, methods and assets that we need to be able to do things. Here, these are comments here, these green things, and they just have, like, this has a link to something. Technically, you don't need this, so you can just, if you hold down Shift and End, you can just delete that. And if you don't find these comments helpful, you can delete them. So it's telling you what it is right here, a verse authored creative device that can be placed in the level because it's inheriting from this creative device class. And it's called Hello World, and we're creating an instance of a creative device, right? So on begin, it says runs when the device is started in the running game, right? And then to do, you put your code in here, right? These comments, if we just want to get rid of them, let's just get rid of them. And we don't need them. And here, we're just going to go ahead and keep this. Now this is going to show you how some stuff is printed. We're not really interested in that, so I'm going to delete that. So this is kind of the bare bones. One little pet peeve I have is that the verse style guidelines state that the modules should be placed in alphabetical order, and you notice that they're not. So what I like to do, just because I'm a little OCD, is I put these in alphabetical order. And you'll see this is helpful to have them because you're going to eventually have more and more modules, and it's easier to find them if they're in alphabetical order. So technically, what you're looking at here is the bare minimum verse program ever written. And this is going to simply print out Hello World. Now I will show you one little thing that you can do is you can put a comma here, question mark, you can type in duration, colon, equals, and we can put a float value in here like a 10, and this will keep this message on the screen for 10 seconds. This can be very confusing in the beginning because there's a container called an option that puts a question mark in front of the variable or constant. But this isn't what this is. This is what's called a named argument. So it's something completely different from an option, and that's very, very confusing in the beginning. So this is just a special marker saying that we're using this word so you know what it is. It's just a special thing that's really confusing. And this is very confusing in the beginning too, as well. That colon equals operator, it was driving me crazy in the beginning. And really what that is just think of it as a way to initialize a constant. You cannot use this to initialize variables. You use this to instantiate or initialize a constant. So this is a constant here, and we're giving it a value here. It takes a little time to get your mind around what that's doing, but anytime you see that, just know you're not working with a variable. You're either working with an instance or a constant. So just keep that in your back pocket. And hopefully that'll save you some grief. So once we're done with this, we've got our code done. We can just come up here to verse and go build verse code. And it's going to want to save it. And it's going to build it really quickly, and there's no errors. You'll know if there's an error, so it'll stop compiling. That's the whole thing. And now here's where this new icon comes in. So we've got this icon here, and you need to press this. Now, if you already have Fortnite running, and I do, what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and it's going to launch Fortnite now. So this game template that I have right here, it's going to go onto the Fortnite server. But I'm already on the Fortnite server here, so it's going to say leave where I was, and I'm going to say yes. So now what I'm doing is taking my game into the Fortnite.com world. So I'm going to be on the server here in just a minute. We got to listen to this song for a little bit here. Actually, I've heard that song a million times, so I don't know how to hear it. You can see this session loading thing right here. So it's going to take a minute for it to load up. So is verse worth learning? I think so, yes. I think what you'll find is that it's not as easy to learn as it's made out to be. There's a lot to it. It's as difficult as any object-oriented programming as far as I can tell. And it has its own little quirks too. But I think that verse is going to be a reality in Unreal Engine. And according to Tim Sweeney, it's going to be coming out with Unreal Engine 6. It's going to be another way of making things happen in Unreal Engine. So we're going to have visual blueprints. We're going to always have C++, and then there's going to be verse. So there's going to be a place for verse. They've invested so much in it. I don't see them giving up the ship on verse. So anyway, we're done here, and now we can hit play. But you're not going to see anything happen here. So we're going to go into here, hit start game. And then the upper left corner, you're going to see Hello World print. See? And it's going to stay up there for about 10 seconds. So anyway, this was just a real quick and dirty getting started with verse and getting familiar. The best thing to do is just get in here and make your mistake. I want to show you one last thing is let's go ahead and stop the game. And let's say we want to make changes into our verse file here. So let's say I want to add another print string here. So let me just hold shift and end, hit Control C, and I'm going to go V, and I'm just going to go hello world again. So if I add or make changes to my code now, I'm going to need to rebuild it again. So I'm going to build the verse code again. Now watch what happens. We get a new icon up here, and we need to press that, and what it's going to do is it's going to push those changes, just those changes, to the Fortnite server. So I'll click that, and it'll need to usually stop the game too. The cool thing is, now it's also saying that there's some changes that may not be reflected, but we just changed the code, so I'm not going to worry about that. But if you've made other changes besides the verse code, you may need to click that icon, this one right here again. So we're just going to go back into Fortnite real quick and hit start game and see our two print strings now up there, and they'll stay on there for 10 seconds. So anyway, this was just a super quick and dirty intro into getting started with verse and writing your first Hello World program. So anyway, I hope you found it helpful. Take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.